My guest at this time is the founder of Ring of Honor. It is Cary Silkin. Cary, thank you very much for taking some time to chat with me here today.
My pleasure, Nick. Always nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. It feels like it doesn't feel like 2 years since I've been running around arenas with you. It's very odd.
It's technically the last time we were together was at Madison Square Garden.
I know, and I have the media badge over here. I'm not allowed to sell it, but what a great piece of icon,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Cary. Before we get into this, how are you feeling? I mean, it's the top of the year. Ring of Honor's done its final pay-per-view for the time being. A lot of these contracts have finally fully lapsed. A lot of talent finally hitting the market in the last week. What's your headspace at like right now? How are you feeling at the moment?
I mean, I'm sad. It's a big mix of emotions.
Yeah.
I'm sad that contracts are lapsing. I'm hopeful and sort of confident that we'll be seeing Ring of Honor moving on, but there's nothing official.
How do you
feel? I feel bad for the guys.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for myself. Listen, ever since I sold the company in 2011, I loved to go in Ring of Honor. It didn't cost me a penny. Everybody patted me on the back, gave me some food, like the dog at our aunt's house on Thanksgiving.
I don't know that they would call you the Thanksgiving dog of Ring of Honor. I think people had a little more respect for you than that, Cary. So I mean, there's a lot of talent hitting the market at the same time, though, right? I mean, a lot of Ring of Honor talent, and then all these WWE releases happening at the same time. What do you think about all of these mainstream big names hitting the market all at the same time? What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm happy for Jay Lethal. I'm happy for the guys that Tony Khan has picked up, not to mention that Billy Corgan is using at NWA and the Impact crossover. But I was at, for the first time, the very first time, I was at AEW the other night.
Yeah.
When they were in Newark. And he didn't have a lot of time, but I got to meet Tony Khan and talk to him for a couple of minutes. But I saw what was going on backstage, which was everybody was very welcoming. Everybody was nice. Boy, do they have good food backstage.
I mean, yeah?
You've been backstage at WWE, right?
I have, but I haven't been backstage. Okay, yeah.
This was like, that wedding you go to where it's instead of them saying, you want turkey or beef, they had everything. But to your point, there's so many guys there. So many guys. And I'm not going to bring up any names, but there were guys that were flown in to do nothing. No dark, it was a very good vibe. But since I've been around the back for 20 years, and you know this as much as anyone, wrestlers are always what word am I looking for? Unconfident, lack of,
okay,
worried about their spot.
Sure.
So I could feel that going on. Certainly not with a Bryan Danielson or Hangman Page, but there's just a lot of people there. So I don't know where all these people are going to land. There's so much good talent that, just if we talk ROH for a second.
Yeah.
Taven, Dalton Castle, right? Obviously the Briscoes. And there's just so many names. Vincent, that have been working on their characters. Shane Taylor. These are solid people that if you and I were running a show, I think we'd want to have them.
Oh, yeah.
And now you have this, and I read about the recent cuts, and now you have this motherload of WWE people that are floating around. And it's a strange time. How about that?
Yeah, and I mean, like, dude, they let Samoa Joe go yesterday.
I'm not really close with Samoa Joe, but we're friendly.
Okay.
Which means I might send him a text or vice versa on New Year's or Christmas, or he'll say, "Happy birthday, Carrie." He saw it online. But I did communicate with Samoa Joe today just to say, "Hey man, I'm sure you're going to be fine." He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to take a month off and just sort it out and just see what his next move is." But there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, it is kind of crazy when you look at AEW because, like, a lot of people say, oh, and again, there's not enough space. You said it yourself. Like, there's some unease backstage. A lot of contracts are about to come up like any day now, right? Like, there's going to be the 3-year mark with AEW coming up.
Well, I was going to ask you that because you know this better than I do.
Sure.
Are there AEW guys that are like on the border of contracts? I have no idea, except for talking to a friend like Lethal or Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know how long these guys are signed for.
Well, I'm not in their legal department, but I will say this: almost 3 years ago to the day, I was in Jacksonville at the rally that they had to announce AEW officially. That's the day Jericho signed his 3-year deal. I think MJF, Janela, a lot of the EVPs, I think it maybe signed a little before that, except for Kenny. But this is around the time the original 3-year agreements were being signed by AEW. Now, some people have come in since then, 2-year deals. But from the impression I've gotten, yeah, right around this time, that's top of this year, a lot of these contracts from some of the talent you've seen around AEW for a while are coming up. And, for the first time, maybe we will see some people not get picked up, kind of like, I guess, what happened with Big Swole or maybe others. You know what I mean?
You'll remember this. In the olden days, were you around Ring of Honor at all when Gabe Sapolsky was booking?
I wasn't really. No, I was not. Yes.
But anyway, and Gabe's going to land on his feet somehow. That's another name. But
yeah.
I used to say to Gabe sometime, "What the hell's going on? We got half the Russian army back here, back behind the curtain." In other words, we had way too many. He said, "Oh, Carrie, there's 10 $50 guys." And there was just too many. So at AEW, and I don't want to speak bad, they treated me so well, and everyone was so nice. I don't know what they're going to do. And not to be redundant, it's a real strange time.
Yeah, and kind of circling back on Samoa Joe, the reason I was like, everybody would love to see him in AEW. It's crazy to me, like, how much of a Ring of Honor influence there really is at the top of the card in AEW at the moment. I'm sure that's something that's very noticeable to you.
Yeah, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to see these guys. I got to spend 5 minutes with Bryan Danielson, another guy who I'm not like buddy with, but he's a good man. And I think what I'm seeing, and for my taste of wrestling, with CM Punk, who I got to say hello to too, but with Punk and Bryan, I've seen this. I don't know. It's like the scales shifting. In other words, these guys are so good, and wrestling's a variety show, and it's like the circus. But I think it pushes a lot of guys down. Just at the talent that's there. They had a lot of talent before that.
Yeah.
But I hope you understand what I'm trying to express poorly.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you bring big fish in, and there's going to be less water in the pond, right? People are going to get pushed to the side, so to speak. Yeah, and you've obviously been in the promotion side of pro wrestling for decades now at this point. I mean, it's not something you've seen before, but it's still, you got to understand why it's a little why it becomes a story, I guess, for fans when they see people get pushed to the side that they were fans of initially in favor of other bigger names that are coming to the party.
Yeah. Look, there's so many good ROH guys. We mentioned their names already: Taven, Shane Taylor, Dalton.
Right.
They're going to be fine. But a lot of guys are going to have to hustle on the indies, because Tony Khan, I don't think, is going to sign everybody. He can't.
No, there's no way.
So, and to your point, there's probably going to be some releases. I think he and I are similar in one way. He's too nice.
Yeah, I'm interested. We glossed over you talking to Tony Khan. I'm very interested to know what it was like when you guys had a chance to exchange. What did you think of Tony Khan?
Well, here's what happened.
Okay.
I went out by the ring, and there were some various people. I'm trying not to be in the way.
Right.
I'm welcome, but at the same time, I'm walking on eggshells. So, oh, look, there's Matt Hardy, someone who I do know, someone who I've talked to and worked with. So I got to spend a little time with Matt Hardy, and I noticed, oh shit, there's Tony Khan, like 30 feet away, talking to two girls. I don't know which ones they were, sorry, but
okay.
Two of they were doing something that night, and he was very engaged. So after my pleasantries and a nice photo with Matt Hardy, I said to Matt, hey, do you think I can go over, because I have to interrupt them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going to see him again, right? And Matt Hardy, who I hope wasn't playing, it turned out he was not playing a rib on me. He's like, yeah, go ahead. It could have been the worst advice, but he knew. And I said, you sure? He goes, yeah. So I said, excuse me. And I interrupted this. And Tony looked at me, and we exchanged the obligatory pleasantries. I thanked him for keeping the kind of wrestling that I like alive and well. And he thanked me for the Ring of Honor contributions, so on and so forth. He was very nice. And, in the case of ROH continuing, and I have nothing to do with the ROH business, I leaned into him and I said, do you think that we could maybe work with, if we do a show, whenever it might be?
Yeah.
And you know what his answer was, Nick? Here's an exclusive for you.
Sure.
He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just said, have them give me a call.
Okay.
So
hey, I mean, there's obviously a lot of great.
So if there's a show, that would be nice to, because we did have FTR at Final Battle.
Right.
So Briscoes and FTR, I mean, I'm dying to see that.
Well, I would have to imagine that Tony feels a little bit, I don't want to say indebted, but a debt to Ring of Honor. I mean, even Joe, I think, has kind of touched on it. It would be really tough to think that an AEW would exist without the Ring of Honor produced All Out event that kind of launched the whole thing. So I would hope that Tony sees the opportunity to do more.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked, to get FTR to Final Battle, also Jay Lethal. So he seems like a really fair guy. And this is no bullshit. Every one of those guys that I am close with, who I saw, like Jerry Litt, like Adam Cole, Christopher Daniels, I say, how is it? How is it? Everyone says it's great. Adam Cole said, I've been, which one of them? I don't know. One of them said to me, I got to work with the two greatest bosses of all time. Very nice. So Tony Khan is definitely held in high esteem, beyond the fact that he's giving these guys a paycheck, that he's a good guy, and he loves pro wrestling, and he wants to help the entire wrestling business.
So was this your first time being at an AEW event?
Yes.
Ever? Period?
Ever.
Wow.
Ever. Back before the pandemic, they were at the Licoris Center, which is Temple University.
Okay.
And it was, when I'd say it was raining, it was like a typhoon. And I turned around halfway there. Then the pandemic came. They weren't in the Northeast. And something happened. Maybe I wasn't feeling great, and I didn't go to the first Newark show. And to go to Flushing is a bit of a schlep, as my Jewish grandmother used to say. So it worked out. And this was the first time I was there. And it was without my dear friends, the Bucks, being there.
Yeah.
But
that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. And they're fine. But they were completely cool. It dawned on me about, I only stayed there for like an hour and a half. And then I knew, the Billy Joel song, Big Shot.
Sure.
I went over the line. I didn't see it was time to go home. Well, I knew it was time. I didn't go over the line.
Yeah.
I knew it was time to go home. But yeah. So what dawned on me was there's so many people backstage between the talent and the crew. They have like an 8-truck tour. In other words, if you went to see old Alice Cooper or someone, they have one truck with these moving lights these days. But if you go to see, Billy Joel at the Garden or wherever, probably 4 trucks. And if you go to see Lady Gaga or U2 at a stadium, it's like 8 to 12 trucks. They had 8 trucks.
Wow.
Beautiful lighting, well done. Everything looked great. They do a great job, no doubt about it.
So what about you? You going to be part of the show? You going to be Commissioner Silken?
No. Nobody asked me to do that.
Okay.
I'm still Ring of Honor ambassador, and I'm hoping that we're going to have future shows. And I think we're going to hear something within the next week or so about that.
Okay, that's cool. So let me get your take while I have you, Kerry. We talked a lot about AEW, but man, WWE's model is changing so quickly right now. Like their entire developmental program.
What are they doing? I mean, what are they thinking?
That's what I was going to ask you, Kerry. I don't know how closely you've been kind of watching the machinations over the past.
Close enough.
Yeah. What do you think is going on right now? What's your take on this?
To quote the great W.C. Fields, it baffles science. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, when the whole thing went down with Triple H, and they basically, and I don't know how his health is. I'm close with Brian Kendricks, and he was just like, he had a heart procedure, but that was months ago. And WWE, at least what I saw, they correct me if I'm wrong, but they basically dismantled NXT to what we knew.
Yeah, the style of which we've become accustomed, the vision of Triple H has been scrapped for parts, yes.
So, and then with yesterday, with Regal, I mean, and Road Dogg, and speaking to this guy or that guy, and I don't speak to many, it was brought to my knowledge that Road Dogg and Triple H were like, but really close. Really close.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Vince McMahon is just going crazy, completely crazy. I don't know. What do you think?
I think if I'm giving my pundit answer here, I think that what Vince McMahon is trying to do is level 3 version of legitimizing professional wrestling yet again. And I think that rather than looking to people that are passionate and working out of their warehouses and backyards and warehouses to become professional wrestlers, to legitimize this further, replace all of these people that are non-athletes trying to become pro wrestlers find nothing but pure blue chip athletes and flush your roster out with that, so that you can, set a real difference between yourself and your competition.
How many of that style blue chip athletes have we seen become successful over the last 20 years?
Well, I think that he's going to say I would wager to say Nick Khan and Vince McMahon would say there haven't been enough to pick from. You expand that pool exponentially, you're going to see more successful talent, fall through the cracks, so to speak.
Yeah, the couple of people that I do speak to, I'll leave their names out of it, that have been there or were there, have just said, just like we're scratching our heads, and they don't know what's going on either. They don't understand it. I mean, look what happened to Allison Danger, Carino's sister.
Yeah.
She just moved there. It sucks.
I know.
It's a shame. But they do what they do.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Kerry? What does the future look like for you? You got anything on the horizon? Anything that you're working on right now? Anything you want to let people know about?
Yes. And probably last time we spoke, I said the same thing, but there needs to be one final edit of the Last Stop Penn Station book.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of your followers and listeners who don't know what I'm talking about, Last Stop Penn Station is the title of the podcast that I do with Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah.
And not only does it cover my time in pro wrestling, but we talk about my other life and hustle in the streets of New York City, scalping tickets, hooking up with cocaine deals with John Belushi, just by happenstance. People from Rush, people from Bob Seger, people from Jethro Tull, not necessarily the bands, but it's like, hey, we all want to hang out with our favorite rock stars, right?
Oh yeah.
But I don't think we have the right plumbing. So right?
I mean, you got to be made of certain stuff if you want to hang with a crowd like that. Is what you're saying.
I realized that was an in, and it worked. So all these crazy stories about that period of my life, and there's a ton of wrestling mixed in this period of, Nick, I'm 65. I should have been dead 40 years, whatever. You get the picture. I said to Matt Hardy, and he said, I feel you. I said, there's a mountain missing in Peru that went up my nose, but I cleaned up my act and thus became ROH, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't have happened if I didn't clean up my act.
Good.
And all those stories, me going to WrestleMania for the first time, WrestleMania 1 with $20 with my friend Harry, that matinee show. We knew how to hustle, and we got in the Garden. The aforementioned stories with these rock stars, and some stuff that's really personal, and it wasn't easy to talk about. Just some rough times in my life, and then the involvement in wrestling behind the scenes with ROH, eventually becoming the sole owner, and that whole ride. So there's a lot of good there's a lot of good content on Last Stop Penn Station podcast, which hopefully this year will come to surface as a book.